Good evening and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How is everybody tonight? I hope you're all well. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. If you did any painting or if you did any gaming, do let us know in the chat. Well, thank you, Amberden. Let's have some positive comments to start the stream, please. Come on, come on. Is there an... so, Chris, are you saying echo, echo, echo because there is an echo? I mean, don't tell me there's technical problems. That's the point. I want to know that everything is going well. I have made several sacrifices to the streaming gods. It all sounds good. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the positive reassurance there. Ah, your phone volume was on as well. User error. Yes. So how is everybody? You're all good? You're all well? Hello, MLP Subido. Welcome. How are you? Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us this evening. Shall we let you know what is happening this week on the channel? So, of course, this evening I have the pleasure of Maartje Giesbers joining me from Magie Miniature Painting. She'll be telling us all about her wonderful, wonderful portfolio of miniatures that she has painted up. Wow, they are so amazing. So we will take a look tonight and chat to her. So if you have any questions, scribble them down on a bit of paper, get ready. You'll be able to have the opportunity to ask her at the end of the sort of showcase, I guess. Then on Wednesday, we are concluding the latest community challenge, which was painting up dome head dinosaurs from the Drowned Earth miniatures game. I've got a little bit of work still to do, but we'll see. We'll see how we'll do, and maybe I'll be ready for Wednesday. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe. And then on Friday is another TFI Games night. And we'll be revisiting Tang Garden from Lucky Duck Games. We played this a couple of weeks back. It is a beautiful, beautiful game. So I'm really looking forward to bringing it onto the table again and sharing it with you. Good evening, Pascal. Welcome. Oh, so you're on time because of our special guest, but not generally. Now that explains many things. I hope you're well. I hope you had a good weekend. Okay, let me do the intro, and then we can get started. Good evening, Acid Burn Punk. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for following. And thank you, of course, Chris, for the resub. I did catch that up at the beginning. Good luck with the intro. Oh my goodness, you guys are just... You're supposed to be positive. You're supposed to support me on things like this. Come on, come on. All right, here we go, here we go. Yeah, I think it's said with a heavy dose of sarcasm. That's the problem. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. You join me tonight for another special guest interview, and this evening I'll be joined by Maartje Giesbers, award-winning painter from Magie Miniature Paints. If you're brand new to the channel, click the heart to follow the live Twitch stream weeknights Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 7 PM. Also, be sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon to receive notifications from YouTube for the latest videos and updates. And now, on with the show. Lornor's in here to laugh at the mistakes. Thank you. Right, well, I think that worked well enough. So then, good enough? Excellent. Good. All right then, so I'm going to look across and just make sure that Maartje is ready. Get the thumbs up. Yes. Oh yes, there we go. All right, so I'm going to bring the mic in first of all. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent. Okay, and chat, can you hear Maartje okay? There's no cats on the line? Everything sounding fine to you guys, yes? Yeah, everything good? All right, let me press a button here. All right. Right then. So, press that there. There we go. Okay, so let's, I'd like to welcome Maartje to Monkeys with Fire.
Hello.
Welcome, how are you tonight?
I'm very well, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, and delighted to have you back on the channel.
Yeah, same here. Good to be back.
Good. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through your impressive portfolio of painted miniatures, allowing you to tell us a little bit about the creation of each one. And then when we get to the end, we'll sort of open up for questions from the chat. How does that sound?
Sounds perfect.
All right, excellent. So I guess I asked this question to everybody who comes on to the channel. What first got you into the hobby? What first got you into miniature painting?
Yeah, so that's well, not a super interesting story, but I remember when I was, I think that's about 13 years ago, very long time. I went into this German board game store, and I saw these tiny miniatures that were standing in this cabinet, and it just really got my attention. And I thought, okay, this must be something for me, because I always liked these painting things, small things, details. And when I was a kid, we always used to have these gypsum statues that you had to pour the gypsum into these molds, and then you had to paint them up. And this, yeah, these miniatures kind of reminded me of that, except of course the scale is a bit different, but the activity is pretty much the same. So I thought, well, let's just try, maybe I like it. And then I did. So that was kind of how it started.
Right, okay. And I guess you've not looked back since then.
Well, there have been quite some times where I've been out, not been into the painting thing for some time. I think the maximum time has been about a year that I really stopped painting, because I couldn't find the drive or motivation to get started. But yeah, in the end, I always found my way back. So that's positive.
Excellent. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll go to the first mini, and we'll sort of take it from there. So just give me a moment to... Okay. And... Right, let's see if hopefully we'll press the right buttons. That there.
Hey, Pascal.
Okay then, so would you like to introduce this character?
Yeah, so that's the very first miniature that I painted. So in the time that I started painting, you could buy these little sets of these night goblins, and they came with these very tiny pots of paint. And this is kind of my first effort into painting a miniature. So I still have it. It's still in my boxes somewhere because it's kind of dear to me. Um, and I remember that especially the eyes, they're so tiny, and I was like, how are people able to put in like irises and pupils and stuff like that? So that was really the start for me. And I guess at that time I also realized that the material basically means anything, because the paints that you got with the set were quite horrible, and I had these horrible brushes, so didn't really work out at all. But that's how it started.
So just to remind us then, how long ago was that first miniature then?
I think it was, I have to check because I also put it in the file that I sent, 2007. So
2007,
that's 13 years ago now.
Okay.
Oh, I'm feeling old.
Okay, but as you say, and it's great that you've kept the miniature, because everyone has to start somewhere, and I guess
definitely.
It's an important milestone, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and it also kind of shows you like that everyone starts at more or less the same level, right? And you get better the more and more you paint. But I don't really see many people who paint perfectly on their first miniature. I think that's quite impossible. You have to get used to painting these small details, and the 3D painting is very different from painting a flat surface. So I think, I think it's good to know that we all start somewhere.
Okay, so if you could go back in time and tell your younger self then one tip in regards to painting, what would that be?
I think right now, if I would start now, I would take on workshops much sooner. Because at that time when I started, there weren't that many workshops, and there were not that many like videos that you could watch. And you had to have, your sources were basically these online forums, and that was pretty much it. But now you have all these workshops from amazing painters all over the world. So if I would start now, I would tell myself, go to these workshops, look at videos, get inspiration from other painters. That's what I would tell myself then. So
okay. All right, let's go. Let's take a look at the next miniature then. Would you like to introduce her?
Yeah, so that's a couple of years later. Actually, that was one of the first contests that I participated in online, which was a contest from Weird Miniatures. And I think it was called a Rotten Harvest painting contest. And that was actually my first freehand painting on the little fan that she's holding. And I think for me it was mainly the milestone here that I was actually daring to take part in any contests. And I think she won something. I don't remember exactly, but so that was pretty awesome. And I think for me it really gave me the feeling like, okay, I guess I can do this. It's I can improve and get better and make things that I like. So so that was kind of the start for me to really get a bit more serious instead of just painting a little bit.
I mean, she is beautiful. I mean, you've captured the character so well, and the face is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, if I would paint her now again, I think I would spend a lot more time on the face and getting more color in there. But at that time, for me, it was like painting skin tones was still very difficult. So I was pretty happy with how she turned out in the end.
Absolutely. I love the highlight on the leg there, and going into all the nice sort of shadows in the bottom part of the dress. It's very effective.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Reaper miniature, and I think one of the things that they are really good at is that they have these. It's like a very good combination of like intricate, detailed parts, and parts that have a bit more space for like free hands or just larger surfaces that you can work with. And I guess this figure also shows that, like, the skirt is quite simple in general, so you can play around a bit more. So in that sense, I do really like those figures as well. So yeah.
So even at this sort of early stage, was you sort of considering and actively working on sort of more technical painting? So, you know, transitioning and wet blending, was any of that part of your sort of painting toolbox?
Yeah, I was trying to get the blends to be quite smooth, and the whole wet blending thing never caught me. I'm not able to do it still. I don't know. It's a mystery to me. I don't know how to do it. So I use mainly layering and feathering techniques. So that's just basically building up the layers on top of each other with transparent paints. But yeah, at this stage, I was really trying to get those blends smoother and smoother. And I guess you can see the difference between the goblin, where you can still see, exactly where all the transitions are, and here it's sort of getting smoother and smoother with
Most
each
definitely.
miniature, let's say.
Yes, and again, as you pointed out, the hint of the free handing is, or this is the starting point, isn't it? And of course, it increases from here.
It gets more and more. It gets to a point where it's almost too much. But I like that. So.
Okay, well let's take a look at the next character then. So who is he? And in fact, let me just see if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go.
Yeah, so this actually is a miniature that I painted it as part of a contest over at the WAMP forum, which it used to be, I think it still exists, but I'm not active anymore. It's a very big painting forum. And then, so I painted it for a contest over there. And what was really cool for me is that the sculptor of this miniature, Trey Manor for Redbox Games, he was so excited about the paint job that he put it on his website as a box art. So it was like my first box art thingy. So I was super proud of that.
Absolutely, and again, yeah, I find obviously, you know, there's a lot of green in this character, but it's the transitions and the how it goes from, you know, multiple shades of greens one into the other is just so beautiful. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, and actually it's funny because on the picture, of course, it looks quite big, but this is one of the smallest figures that I think I've painted, because the Redbox Games minis, they are just a bit tinier than the normal figures that I paint. So it's quite a small and fragile mini, even though it looks a little bit bigger. But yeah, it was nice to do, and also nice to play around with a little bit more muted color pattern. Because yeah, as you will see from the next photos, I'm typically not painting a lot with earthy tones, and yeah, I tend to go for the very bright and vibrant colors.
Oh, it's excellent. Now, this of course stands out as well because this is the first miniature we've seen where you've actively created a base and a little sort of scenic area around a miniature. Is this something that you know, and again, we'll see the sort of the transition of how that increases across the portfolio. But I mean, what did you enjoy this first sort of challenge into base building? Do you still, is this a part that you enjoy about the hobby?
Not particularly. I find base building to be like it's a must. Like, I mean, it completes the scene, but it doesn't always come natural for me. So I have to push myself out of my comfort zone to get it. By the way, the cookie account is also mine. But I saw something on the chat, so
have we found a sort of a side passion here? So if it's not miniature painting, is it baking cookies by any chance?
No, it's just I have another account for, I follow other hobbies, and cookies is one, and I make bracelets, so it's
right.
It's a bit of a combo account. I just don't want to get it mixed up with the miniature stuff.
Fantastic.
So, yeah. but I do have another Instagram account. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, this is the first attempt at making sort of a display base, but it's yeah, as you can see, it's very very simple, and I really had to find my way to do this because it doesn't come natural. I'm a perfectionist, so when I place down these leaves, my mind wants them to be in these positions, and actually that's one of the things that Roman Lapat told me is leaves don't fall into positions, right? They fall randomly. So and I get fixated on the leaves need to be placed right there and there and there, but yeah, that doesn't work. So that's why I'm saying it doesn't always come natural to me because I want things to be this perfectly aligned, and I have to really step out of my comfort to make the bases.
Right. Well, that's a very interesting insight, given some of the bases that you've created later on, which are, well, we will see. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the next character then.
The postgraduate course, mine too. Yeah, I have a PhD indeed, so that's probably mine too.
Okay, who is this?
So that's the character that I painted for actually my first like physical contest. So the first contest outside of online contest, and it's a character from Warhammer. So I didn't paint a lot of Warhammer figures. I think it's not the last one, but it's one of the few that I painted. And that was for the Lowlands competition that we had back then, which was a competition for the whole Netherlands and Belgium and Luxembourg, I think. Yeah, I went there. I had no expectations whatsoever, and then I won with this guy, and it was pretty amazing. I didn't really expect that, and I was looking up to these English and French painters, and I thought, well, this is not the same, but let's just give it a go. And then it won, so I was pretty excited. And that's also where I met Pascal. So yeah, kind of the change of scenery, meeting a lot of new people, and yeah, for me it was really a step up in the painting.
So for somebody who hasn't entered a model into a competition, do you have any advice? What would you do if it's your very first time? Because it's quite a barrier to entry, isn't it? And I think it's maybe a lot of it is internal.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think in hindsight, I would say try to stick to your like what you want to do, and that's a theme that comes back with me, is that I try to do stuff other people do or want to see, or like stuff that are trending, and yeah, that kind of doesn't work. You have to go with your own feeling, and you have to find your own like happy spots in the painting, and I think that translates. I think you make better pieces if you're having fun in the painting instead of trying to achieve some goal. And especially in this case where I had no expectations, I wasn't really like, worried about the outcomes, just having fun. And I think in the end that makes a lot of difference. It makes peace stronger. So that is a more like the philosophical side, and the more practical thing is to turn your miniature upside down and look for mistakes, because yeah, you typically see them only from a few angles, but if you turn them in all kind of directions, you will see mistakes much better. And if they're good judges, they will look at every angle and they will catch those mistakes and they will count. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting point. And so this particular miniature, was it painted for the purpose of the competition entry, or was it purely you were painting and you decided to enter it?
No, I think this one I painted for the contest. And it was a while ago. I don't remember. When was it? 2012. So that's a long time ago.
Right. Fair enough. Yes.
But I think I painted it for the contest, and I painted another figure, an Eldar, I think, for that same contest as well. So at that time, I was really But I painted a lot more models per year, so I could really, pick the contest, and most of them were online, and this was the first one offline. Yeah.
Okay. Over to the next character then. Oh, well, so before we do, we have obviously a reverse angle here. So we got again a little bit of freehand going on.
At a real freehand. Yeah. And of course, it's a little bit wonky. And I mean, the painting the freehands is a technique. I guess you have to spend a lot of time practicing it. For me, it's still not always perfect, and that's fine because you don't really see because our mind wants to see patterns and wants to see patterns perfectly. So even if the pattern isn't painted perfectly, your mind will translate it into something that is perfect. So that doesn't really matter. But in the beginning, it's going to be hard to even get like any kind of pattern or straight lines on there. So yeah, it takes a while. It takes a lot of practice. And yeah, as we will see through the picture, I do get better, and still I can improve, of course.
Okay, let's take a look then. So, okay, who's this?
Right. So this was painted actually after my big break. So I had about 1 year where I didn't paint, and I got to the scale model challenge that year, and I felt horrible because I didn't paint anything. And that was a time I was doing some demos or painting there. I don't remember. And I was visited by Werner Klokke, who is the sculptor for Freebooter, and he also did a lot of things for Reaper. And he really liked he liked what I painted, so the miniatures that I brought, and he asked me if I wanted to do some box arts for Freebooter. And this is one of those. So it's actually my first commissioned, box art. So it's not a very exciting, very special figure, but to me it was kind of a new beginning.
Again, another major milestone.
Yeah, and it also got me back into painting because I really was in this slump and I didn't paint at all. And because I got those commissions, I kind of had to, and it did bring me back into this whole painting thing. So that was cool.
So, I mean, I hear it a lot, and I've experienced it myself. When you do sort of fall into that slump, as you say.
Yeah.
So what's your advice for those who want to paint, desperately want to paint, but just can't quite get the motivation to do so? What would you suggest?
Yeah, so if it's really some moments you're just going to have to accept that it's not there, right? I mean, you cannot force yourself to go painting if it's not there. I have these moments still where I want to paint, I really do. But at the same time, it's like, oh, too much. I don't feel like doing this. So it's like a combined thing, right? Because all the time you're thinking about I want to paint, and then when the time gets there, you can't get yourself to do it. I think at some point it's just best to accept that you're not going to paint a little while, and the motivation and the inspiration comes back. But I guess for me, what always helped was going to the contest, seeing other people's paint jobs, getting back to your old miniatures, seeing what you've gone through, and looking for like some simple projects that you can do, just doing something quickly, something that doesn't have to be perfect, just to get you back into that feeling. Sometimes just stopping a project if you're really like, ugh. Yeah, sometimes you just have to stop, and then maybe you finish it, maybe you don't. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it works. Yeah.
It's certainly good to hear that it is a common case for most people that, and we all, no matter your skill level, we all experience it at some point.
Yeah, I think it's quite normal, and I mean, in the end, it's you have to have some inspiration, right? I mean, you cannot force inspiration. If it's not there, then it's not just gonna come. And of course, you can copy things. I mean, if you want to paint and you really lack any inspiration, and go ahead, just copy other people. who cares, right? I mean, you're still painting, you're still having fun. So that might also be an idea. Just do some simple things, copy other people. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Right. Let's take a look at the next. Now, this actually seems quite similar in sort of style.
Yeah. So that's the kind of the partner of the other lady. So and I think here right now in what you're starting to see in these figures is that my non-metallic metals are starting to become a bit more pronounced. Um, and I think, yeah, for me those are my two things, right? It's non-metallic metal and freehands. So I'm starting to really show those in my figures, and I guess this is one of the first figures where the non-metallic metal is actually more prominent than the rest of the figure.
Okay, so again, we're aiming all of these questions at the more sort of beginner painter. Where do you start with non-metallic metals? What would be just a little bit of advice on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess, I mean, non-metallic metal is all about contrast. So just try to copy other people. Don't get too worried about blends, because normally the blends don't have to be perfect, but really look at where the contrasts are. You see a lot of very dark spots right next to very bright spots, and I guess that's the most important thing. So try to really push your contrasts and look around, look at objects. Every time you see something metal, look at how it reflects and how the highlights are. And yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, my non-metallic metal, it works, but it's not perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect metal, right? It's supposed to have still this kind of cartoony, artworky feel. And I guess it depends on what you're going for. But if you're really going for this super realistic metal, yeah, you have to look at the real thing, because otherwise, where to start? So look around, try copy things from other people, try copy things that you see, and just try to push your contrasts.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Right, let's take a look at the next. Now, yes, we went from a very sort of grey, muted character, and now we're upping the value and the saturations here, aren't we?
Yeah, this is where things are starting to get colorful. And actually painted this figure as part of a series of step-by-steps that I made for my website. And that was a horrible thing to do, because it was so much work and I was photographing all the steps in between. But it taught myself a lot about painting figure, how I paint, because I was always thinking that I painted quite methodologically, or like very linear, but I really don't. I make smooth blends and then I mess it up again, and you keep going back and forward. It's not like just one layer finished, next layer finished. I mean, you do one layer, then the next, and you go back to the first one, and you do the third one, you go back to the first one. So you keep going back and back to get it where you want it. And making this step by step was pretty difficult. And it also was difficult because what you notice is that I wrote down exactly which colors I used, and people were telling me I did exactly what you did, but mine looks completely different. And yeah, of course, you cannot just copy recipes and expect exactly the same outcome. You will have different styles and different ways of putting down the colors. So yeah, it kind of taught me a lot to make this series.
Right.
It was a lot of work. Yeah.
Yes, no, they can be, can't they? Yeah, I mean, again, I love, well, as the chat is saying, love the skin tone. It's very, very vibrant, as is the armor. Nice. I like the colors, the sort of the jades going on there. which is really nice.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I used for the armor, I used the colors that Games Workshop is using, so exactly the same colors that they have in their step by step. But the difference is they use a lot of edge highlighting and only edge highlighting, and I try to do the highlighting over everywhere, so that it gives a complete different outcome. While the paints are exactly the same, so
Right.
that really shows the difference in how you apply the colors and how you choose where to place your highlights and such. Yeah.
So in these sort of early stages, because obviously Games Workshop is so prevalent in the sort of the hobby sphere, were you using Games Workshop colors predominantly, or had you already discovered other brands?
No, I used a lot of Games Workshop. I mean, at that time I had no. Well, at this time I was stepping outside of that box, but before I didn't know there were any other companies. I just knew about Games Workshop, so I used those paints. And only I think maybe 5 years ago, maybe more, I started using Reaper a lot. And I used sometimes I used Vallejo, but I didn't like it. But at that time, I used Games Workshop, and I still do. I still think they make nice paints. So yeah, in the end, it's not too much about the brand for me. It's more about which colors I like where,
Right.
and the
Yes.
effect that I'm going for.
I guess you do get to a point where you learn what certain colours and what they and actually what that paint, what effect it might generate,
Yeah,
and that's the
exactly.
appeal, isn't it?
Yeah, because like the color can look exactly the same, but one can be a bit more matte, and the other one can be yeah, more glossy, or they can like have a bit more graininess to them. It can be so many differences. So you basically, yeah, I have like 5 different kinds of pots of turquoise, and depending on what I want to paint, I pick the pot. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's take a look at the next. Now, for somebody who said at the beginning of this interview, I don't particularly like doing bases, can you explain
Yeah.
this one to me, please?
Yeah, so this is my the period where I really discovered this, like the freehand painting to a different extent. I had just been to a workshop from Stefan Raad, um, who is an amazing painter. He does incredible freehand stuff, and he also gave a freehand workshop, and that really. I mean, I always wanted to do it, but I was too scared to try a real freehand. So after that workshop, I did try, and I painted several. And this is one of the I think third, fourth attempt where I tried. And yeah, I just really wanted to paint that cat. I was like, I have to find a way to paint that cat somewhere. So then I did, and yeah, it was cool. I had so much fun. I had a lot of pain in my neck painting those, but yeah, it was really nice to do. And I still sometimes when I look at them, I still don't believe because they are so tiny that it's. I even find it hard to believe that you can paint that tiny. But somehow, when you're really focused and working on it, it's like it's blowing itself up and it becomes easier. So yeah,
So,
just focus a lot.
were you painting these with any sort of assistance as far as, like an Optivisor or anything like that?
Yeah, I do use an Optivisor because I wear contacts, and yeah, my eyesight is horrible. So if I don't wear an Optivisor, things get even tinier. So I do have to wear an Optivisor. It looks great. It's
Yes.
super nerdy, and but it works.
No, I'm there as well now, and it certainly has helped my painting considerably.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and I mean, I know that there are people that like they criticizing that you use those kind of tools, but yeah, come on, who cares, right?
so
I
Pascal
hope.
makes the comment here, saying that us guys have no idea how small this piece is. So, do you want to sort of, I mean, is this a 28 millimeter figure? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, so the height of the cat frame, I think it's about, like, the interior, it's about 0.8 centimeters, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very tiny.
I mean, I'm obviously looking at it on a big screen here, and I can see all this wonderful detail: the teeth, the markings on the back of the tail, the whiskers, the eyelashes, the caterpillar up at the top. He's got
Yeah.
his monocle, and it's all wonderfully shaded and highlighted. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and yeah, I do really like to do those kind of things. So I'm always looking for a project where I can do something similar, but I haven't really gotten it yet. But one day I'll do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Let's take a look at the next. Oh, and in fact, here we go. We have a zoomed in picture of Alice here. We get to see all the wonderful detail there. I love her stockings. They're brilliant.
Yeah, she broke. I mean, I broke her leg several times. Those resin figures are so incredibly fragile. So I had to repair her leg a few times. Yeah, too bad.
And again, I can see. I think I'm making out that she does have green eyes. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the sort
I think so. Probably.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah, I
amount
guess
of detail.
I always try to make the eyes come back, like the color of the eyes come back somewhere. So green would be, yeah, that would make sense.
Beautiful. Okay, let's take a look at the next character. In fact, actually, a couple of characters.
Yeah, right. So that was also another box art that I did a couple of years ago, and I really like these figures a lot. And actually, I came in contact with the X Faction at that time because I saw one of these figures online and I really wanted to order it. And yeah, they really liked my stuff, so they said, "Do you want to paint for us?" So I did. And I really like these figures a lot. Um, I, I think, I mean, they are also very tiny, but they had a lot of cool details and a lot of non-metallic that I could play with. So um, yeah, I guess this was another step in yeah, doing something a little bit more contrasty, a little bit more really getting into my focus, which is really like the feminine uh, painting, because it's just what I like to do best. Yeah.
I really like the crossbow on the right hand character. The contrast of the different colours there, of course, with the non-metallic metals. I think that's really striking.
Yeah. So and actually, that's one of the things I liked a lot about these box arts is I didn't have to think about the colors at all. So it's really just a copy of the artwork. But yeah, but the artwork was really well done. So that was really a pleasure just using those ideas and translating them into these 3D figures.
All right. Just to shout out to the chat for those in YouTube, welcome. Do apologise, but we've been going through talking, but I have been seeing your comments, and we'll be taking your questions when we get to the end. All right. So, who is this?
Yeah, so I think that's my first water base. I think. This was actually also painted after I had a bit of a break because I was really in this stage where I was really getting worked up about not getting things done perfectly and getting it done the way I wanted to. And this figure kind of helped me because no one had painted it at that time. So I didn't have any reference. I could just do my own thing, and that really worked. I think for me to get out of this perfectionist thing of wanting to have like something different from what already was out there. So yeah, I mean, in the end, it's not not really that special. I think I could have probably done better, but for me, it felt like I was stepping outside of this rut again with this figure.
Now, I am familiar with the range, but unfortunately, it's not coming to mind instantly. It's a sort of alternate Victorian series, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is part of the Twisted Games series.
That's it.
And actually, so this was sculpted by Sebastian Archer. He's one of my favorite sculptors all time. And he also sculpted Alice. I really like his work a lot, and he started this brand called Twisted, which is also a game, a miniature game. I never played it, but I do really like the characters, and it has indeed this Victorian steampunk style to it, but it also has some reference to old tales like Alice in Wonderland and Wizard of Oz and Mary Poppins, those kind of things. So it's a really great line, and yeah, I really like painting them.
It is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, I really like all the details. It's glorious, all the details together.
Miniatures, Conversions and Dioramas by Frankie, welcome, is saying, absolutely love this one, very nice with the base. And yes, I guess this is, again, a good example now where we can see those sort of highlights and how you have massively improved from when we last sort of saw. Now looking at this, it's all so natural, the materials. You know, the sort of the bodice sort of leather sort of clockwork area looks really, really beautiful now as well.
Yeah, so I'm starting in at this stage. I was starting to use more the stippling technique, where you instead of making like stripes and you use a lot of layering, I try to make layers more with also stippling, where the blends become a little bit easier, and because your paint is pretty translucent, you don't see the tiny dots that you're making, but it helps a lot, and it makes the blending a lot easier and actually a lot faster.
Right.
So I guess this is one of the first figures where I really started to get into this more stippling technique.
Okay, let's take a look at the next. Or in fact, actually, first let's just do a quick close up there. We can really appreciate this miniature.
Yeah, and again, these faces are so tiny. I don't know how he does it, because he sculpts them by hand. So really mind blowing.
She is beautiful. And again, I just look all. I mean, it's not only is it the sculpt with all this beautiful little detail with the she's got, it looks like a little bag there. And she's got a little vial attached to maybe around a sort of belt, hips, whatever. But of course, you've got the shine of the violin and everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. It's so funny to see these figures. I don't see them all too often myself anymore.
Right. Okay, let's take a look at the next. Wow. Okay, tell us all about this character.
Yeah, so actually, this is one of the most, I think, down points of my whole painting. And Pascal is laughing because he knows this story. So I've been taking part in the Skill Model Challenge for several years when I painted this. And usually I would typically win silver, always. Like always being silver, never winning anything, and never winning gold. So I was really like, oh, damn, what do I have to do to win gold? You know, what do I have to do? And then, well, what do you see? You see other people painting banners. So I thought I have to paint a banner because banners win prizes, right? And yeah, I think I stepped out of my comfort zone. I think I did something that doesn't work, and it really fell flat in the end. I mean, I still do like the banner, but together with the figure, it doesn't make any sense. And it really was a failed attempt. Um, and in the end, it kind of taught me a lot, which mostly is that I shouldn't do something because other people do it, or because it's popular, or because you think other people want you to make something. I should have just, followed my own path in this, and in the end, I corrected the figure, and it works much better. But there was a good lesson for me, and I didn't win anything, and completely was devastated at that time. But I completely understand in hindsight. Yeah, so interesting
Right.
little story. Because I
Timothy's
still like the figure a lot, but then Banner is just horrible with it. Yeah.
saying, I love the robe. Augie's saying, I think the banner is cute. So,
Yeah, it might be cute with another figure.
okay, let's.
I mean, I guess you have to look at it from the perspective of the judges as well. I mean, the banner isn't perfect. It doesn't make sense with the figure, and in these competitions, you get punished on mistakes, and if the banner has to be amazingly perfect and it has to work, or otherwise you just get a penalty for it. And yeah, that's where it didn't work. And here I changed the banner to a sword, which is incredibly much simpler, but it just works much better with the figure. So yeah, I changed it.
Right. Okay. So, chop the banner out, replace with a sword, and now you feel the composition's
that's
better.
it, and it works better. So that's quite crazy. So really, for me, there was a lesson where you really have to think about, does it make sense what I'm doing, like in the story? I mean, is someone going to walk with this huge banner that's bigger than themselves, and why would he carry a banner with a lady and a dragon? I mean, yeah, it didn't make any sense. I just wanted to paint something cool and put it on the banner, and in the end, it didn't work.
But lesson learned, yes.
Lesson learned, exactly. Yeah.
Frankie's saying, yes, this works much better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. And I'm sad to say that he lost his arm right now, but yeah.
Oh no! Oh no!
There was a little moving accident there. I don't know where it is, but I'll find it one day.
We have a casualty.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I have so many casualties. Yeah.
Okay.
Too bad.
So we've been looking at the front of this miniature, but not until now have opportunity to marvel at the reverse and look at all of that freehand.
Yeah, so this was the very first time that I tried something like this, and I'm still happy with how it looks. I think it looks quite well, and that was something scary for me to do, and but in the end it paid off, and I think because of the banner taking all this attention, this kind of got lost. But yeah, this was the start of my freehand addiction, let's say. I think you can call it that. I'm basically, when I have a figure, I'm just looking at ways to put freehands in there, which, yeah, it's a bit crazy, but it's true. Yeah.
Now, I mean, okay, very briefly, how and where do you start doing freehand on a cloak? You know, what's the process?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, there's not a big difference in painting freehand on a piece of paper and on a cloak. I mean, you do have to think about shadows and highlights, of course, but in the end, you just, yeah, you basically you start a swirl somewhere and you continue that swirl, and especially with these kind of patterns, I mean, it looks like there is a pattern in there, but of course there's not. It's just random stripes and swirls, but your mind wants to make it into a pattern because, yeah, that's comfortable for us to see patterns. So in that sense, you can kind of cheat people, but it's really, yeah, just a random assembly of swirls, and then of course, I mean, you will always start with just the base color of the swirls on top of the pattern, and then you will paint the highlights after that. And then what helps is if you use a very thin down base color and go over all the highlights and the regular pattern to just make it a little bit smoother, so that you don't really see the strong lines of the pattern.
Right.
It's hard to vocalize it, but yeah, just paint the stripes and then slowly highlight them.
So Chris is asking, is the swirl the lighter or darker color?
It's a lighter color. Yeah, so I typically would paint the freehands in lighter color on top of the darker color. I don't know why, but it works easier for me.
Okay. But did anybody notice the little detail? The little character that is not getting any real screen time here, but needs a mention.
The bunny.
The bunny.
Of course. The bunny. Yeah. That's still my thing with the perfectionism and the placement, of course. Because why is the bunny there? But yeah, I thought the bunny was cute.
It's got to have a bunny. Now, was the bunny there when the banner was part of this?
Yeah, the bunny has always been there. It's
right, okay.
The loyal companion. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Now then, again, I bring you back to the statement at the beginning of the show where you said, I don't like making bases. Please explain this one.
Yeah, so this is actually, I had this in my mind for many years. And I never got the courage to start this. I just couldn't do it. I was so blocked in my mind to do it. And after the whole disaster of the banner, I was like, God, I have to do something I want to do. I have to. Who cares if I mess up completely? At least I did something that I really wanted to do, which was make this base. Because I'm a marine biologist, so I wanted to make something underwater. And so I decided just to go and try, and was my first hand at sculpting, because I didn't do that ever before. So I sculpted the little turtle and some of the creatures on the base. And I had so much fun painting this miniature, and I think it shows. And that's what I said in the beginning, right? I mean, you have to have fun in this, and it paid off, because in the end it won the gold, which I wanted so badly. But now, because I just followed my own happy thoughts, basically. So I still like this piece a lot. Even though the shark is it's kind of paralyzed,
right,
laying on the bottom of the floor. Yeah.
Is this the marine biologist side of you saying that's not quite correct?
That the shark is on the floor. Yeah, he shouldn't be on the floor. Now he's still floating a little bit. So no, but actually I was really, because I wanted to have it perfect. So I actually had to make sure that all the fishes were in the right habitat and that they could coexist. So it's I really did think about the kind of species that were in there, and no bunny shark. Yeah.
Frankie's saying this is truly a masterpiece. So how long did it take from start to finish? Can you remember?
Yeah, I don't really want to think about that. I don't know. A normal figure takes me like somewhere between 20 and 50 hours. And this must have been at least 100, maybe more. I don't know. But I mean, I lose. When I'm painting, I lose track of time, and of course, I mean, this also has a lot of freehand, so that also takes a massive amount of time, and then also the thinking and the planning, and it took a whole year, so yes. That's a long time.
So okay, so did you actually paint, sculpt and then paint in the individual elements, and then was it then gluing them together to construct?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I painted them all separately. Well, the figure is on the base a little bit before I finished it because it comes already sculpted on top of something. But like all the fish and all the other animals and the corals, I painted them before and then I glued them.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because otherwise I'm not able to get into all the
Sure.
little spots. No.
And is this all done with a typical brush? There's no airbrushing or anything like that involved?
No, no. At that time, I didn't even own an airbrush yet, so that was all painted by hand. Yeah,
Wow.
painstaking.
But it's so beautiful. I think we will have some close-up shots to marvel at. So we can see the turtle there, which is just so well. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really someone who's going to be super excited about the things that I make myself, but when I sculpted that, I was really like, oh my god, this is so cute. So I was really mesmerized by the little turtle. Yeah, that was really funny to do. Yeah, and also like, I mean, these figures they are just also so perfect to like I said in the beginning, they have like this is from a different company, but they have this good combination of areas where there's lots of detail and then areas where there's less detail, so you can make your own details, and I like that. So yeah, this was the perfect miniature for the piece that I wanted to create for such a long time.
I mean, again, we've got some wonderful freehanding on the I suppose the skirt area here. But what's really drawing my eye is the wonderful sort of fish scale armor. That's beautiful, and all the little hits of light that are in there. But of course, it's not all. It's there's the curvature of it and the intensity of light in certain areas and darker in others. It's beautiful.
And the funny thing is actually, so I usually paint non-metallic metal, so this is all painted non-metallic metal, but the fish scales, actually, the highlights are painted with metallic paint.
Right.
And I did that because I wanted to do something a little bit different. So it does shine by nature, so that's just the fish scale part.
Okay, nice, beautiful. I think we have another close-up of the actual lower part of the base. We can marvel at all this aquatic life.
The tiny fishies. Yeah. They were so fun to do. Incredibly tiny, but yeah, just so fun.
And that's the most important part, isn't it? So long as you're having fun doing the hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And at that point with making this base, I really got that back and really started to, doing my own thing. So I really liked that. So it was a game changer for me, this. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So, who is this?
So I actually painted this one at the same moment that I painted the underwater figure. And this was a really cool commission that I got, which was someone who told me, okay, choose your own figure, whatever you want to paint, and paint it, and I'll pay you for it. So I painted this, and I really liked it. And I did this figure after the workshop with Alfonso Giraldes, Banshee, which was about non-metallic metal. So I think at this point my non-metallic metal was also really, improving massively and really getting these very stark contrasts in there. So and a lot of color in the non-metallic metal. So that was pretty cool. So I mean it's like the base in this one is relatively simple, of course, compared to the other one. But in terms of painting, I think you're really starting to see where I'm at this point.
Yes, and I think as Mikey is sort of pointing out, we're starting to see a sort of a fabric theme emerging here, and definitely you have your style, don't you? I think your style is pretty much locked in by the time this miniature comes along.
I think so too. Yeah, this is really where I'm finding my own signature and really finding my own thing that I like to do instead of copying other people, instead of trying to be something that I'm not, and trying to mimic what I think people want to see. I'm really trying to do my own thing, and that's really starting to appear in these pieces. Yeah.
All right. Let's. And so again, we'll take a look at the reverse shot here. We've got this wonderful purple, sort of very royal sort of looking cloak. I imagine her maybe part of the royal guard or something like that. But again, some wonderful free hand down at the bottom there.
Yeah. So that was when I did like the Games Workshop thing. This was kind of what I was going for, and I couldn't do it at that time because I didn't have the feeling for the brush yet. But here I'm starting to get a bit more stronger in doing the freehands, and so the patterns become a little bit more intricate, and it becomes like tighter. Is that the word? Like
yes,
it just becomes tighter, and yeah, and I like that so much doing this stuff. So yeah, I keep doing that. It's what I like. Yeah.
Was there a stage during your painting where did you ever sort of recognize, I don't know, that maybe certain, that a certain type of brush was actually a better type of brush, improved, elevated your painting game because of the tools that you were using?
Well, I think switching to the Kolinsky brushes definitely helped, because in the beginning I was using like the nylon brushes, which, I mean, they have their purpose, but the purpose is not to paint freehands, at least not for me. So that didn't work, and I started using the Kolinsky brushes, and that really helped a lot. I am not an advocate for big brushes. I mean, I know that there are a lot of people that say, "Oh, I can paint anything with a size 1 brush," or as long as the tip is good enough, you can paint with any size brush. Nope, I paint with the tiniest brushes I can find. So yeah, I'm different in that sense, but for me it works. I paint with size 3/0 for most of the painting, and then the freehand is maybe 10/0, so it's super tiny.
Wow.
I don't see a point in saying you have to paint with this or that. Just for me, the tinier brushes work, and yeah, in that sense, you do pay for quality. So I do use more expensive brushes for this, and not a particular brand, I think. Although in the workshop with Kirill Kanev, if I pronounce it correctly, he uses a Russian brand called Rublov, and those brushes are really, really nice. So I'm using those now.
Right.
But yeah, just small ones for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, this hobby, isn't it? Because of course we get from many, many different angles. This is what you should do to achieve these amazing results, which then of course everybody has a different perspective on it, and which one do you follow? And maybe it's a case of you follow your own. You discover and it through experience.
Yeah. I think you just have to try whatever works for you. I'm really quite allergic to people saying you have to do this or you shouldn't do that, or people that are saying that like small miniatures are not an art and the big ones are, or small miniatures don't have a place in big contests. I get pretty arg.
Right.
It's horrible when people try to make up rules for something that's not rule based. I mean, come on. We're just having fun here. We're just creating stuff that we find beautiful. Why on earth would you put rules to that? I think it's stupid. Really, if you want to paint with your fingers and you can paint cool stuff, by all means go ahead. And if you want to paint with a single-haired brush, well, you have a good paint that doesn't dry fast, but yeah, you do you, and yeah, don't follow stupid rules in general. Yeah, sorry.
I think the chat are all going, hallelujah, sister.
Right? I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
they're all with you on that one.
People are making it so important. Yeah.
So, Timothy DM, thank you so much for dropping by. Have a good rest of your day. All right, let's take a look at the next character. Now, my goodness, there's a lot of color in this one.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's actually the first, I think, weird mini that I painted. And this was it was a commission. I wouldn't normally have painted this figure myself, but I think what is important about this one is that I really was using different colors. I tend to go for the blues and the purples, not so much the red. And this one was, in that sense, quite out of my comfort zone. But I did really like painting her, and it was a small project which took a bit more time than I anticipated. But yeah, it was nice to paint. Not too special.
That's very striking. It's again, lovely, beautiful, silky transitions in the sort of the coat tails there, and the different folds of the fabric, and the wings are just stunning.
Yeah, the wings took a lot of time, and I didn't have an airbrush back then, so it took a long time to get that.
Yes, I can imagine. Let's okay. Who is this then?
We get back to the patterns. So this is this one is from Kingdom Death. And Kingdom Death is one of my my favorite companies. I'm a bit of a fangirl when it comes to Kingdom Death, so so I like to paint their minis. And this one, when I saw it, I knew I had to make this pattern because it's a samurai, and this is a Japanese pattern that I created. And it's insanity a little bit too. It takes a lot of work, but I really liked it, and I think, I mean, in that sense, the color scheme is quite copied from the original box art, but I still try to do my own thing with the pattern in it. So yeah, that was fun. It was a fun character to make, and I mean, at this point, I'm back into my silver game, where I keep winning silvers every year. Oh yeah.
No, she's wonderful. She's and again, you've got this nice little base going on there with I don't know if we get to see. Let's click on the next.
Yeah, there's a koi, and there's 2 koi in there. I'm not sure if it's on the pictures.
Again,
trying
beautiful.
to do a little bit of like source lighting here. It's not my forte. It's something I struggle with. So maybe one day I'll do more.
Chris on the chat is suggesting that you need more bunny in your in the miniatures, and maybe that will get you out of the silver.
Probably, yeah. I should. Bunnies everywhere, right?
Okay. So here we go. So now we get to see the full image, and my goodness, yes,
there are the koi.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah, so I tried to make this little Japanese garden thing, which is, I mean, I tried the water thing before, but it typically failed, and this time it went well, and I tried a little bit more, and I got some help from Joshua Lay, who is, of course, the god when it comes to these water bases. So I was pretty happy with this whole scene, and I think it fits. I mean, the base is there, but it's not overtaking the color. So
yes,
yeah, I think it kind of works.
Yes, definitely. There is a skill to the composition of miniature and base, isn't it? And to make sure that maybe the base is not too overpowering to draw attention away from the miniature.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a hard thing. I struggle with that a lot, especially if you want to make a bigger base. And yeah, uh, and because I want to go for details, you tend to put too much details in the base, which doesn't always work. Yeah.
No, that's really nice, really nice. Okay, let's take a look at the next. Now, I think, are we kind of getting a bit closer to current time with this miniature?
Actually, when we had our interview last year, I was working on this one.
I feel so, yes.
So I painted this for last year around this time, a little bit earlier. I finished it around Skill Model Challenge, I think. And I had this idea of going mental with colors and patterns because I don't know, the mini just felt perfect for that. And yeah, so again, the Kingdom Death, because yeah, I like them a lot. And I was reading Wheel of Time series at that time, or listening to it while I was painting, and I really got inspired to do this figure because of that. And yeah, just having fun with the freehands, and it's a bit over the top, which was exactly what I was going for. So I think in that sense it did work. Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely stunning. It really is. There is so much detail to sort of look at in this miniature. Obviously, the freehand on the dress. We've got the glint of the little coins that are around the waist, and down on the shoes. And it looks like skeleton bones, maybe on the sort of the shin.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's an armor made out of bones. It probably, because it's from Kingdom Death, it's related to the game, which I don't play, so it must have some story in it. I mean, I love the sculpt and I love the figure, but it was horrible to put together. So I had to paint almost all pieces separately, like the legs, I painted them separately. All the capes, I had to paint them separately, and then attach it after painting, correcting it again. So it was a bit of a struggle, but yeah, in the end, I think it was worth it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is she standing amongst a whole load of snakes? Is that what I'm seeing on the base?
No, it's a little bit hard to see, but it's actually it's a pattern with kind of a leaf, like a metal leaf. I mean, you have to see it from the top. But so I painted this as a character from this book series, and these are these people that follow the way of the leaf. So I put the way of the leaf on the base, literally.
Right, okay. Wow. Okay. Let's see what if the next image. Well, we get the reverse shot, and again, just a wonderful amount of freehanding here. As if the purple dress wasn't enough, let's do the yellow and red cape as well.
Yeah, because I mean, why not, right? So I really, like I said, I really wanted to go crazy here in this one, because I mean, come on, you have to be. This figure is quite crazy in itself. I mean, the way it's standing with all those different capes, not practical at all. And I just wanted to go a bit overboard, and yeah, I think I kind of succeeded. And I know that not everyone likes this bold, these very bold colors and like over the top freehand, but I kind of do. So yeah, who cares, right?
No, absolutely. I think it's beautiful. However, though, the chat are maybe suggesting that are these water decals and that you've been cheating actually all this time.
Of course. I wish that would save me a lot of time, but it also would save me a lot of fun. And no, it's painted, but it takes a lot of time.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
who said that? Pascal, right?
Yeah, Pascal started it. Yes, yes. But maybe here's a venture. It's water decals by Maggie's miniature painting. It was a whole thing here.
Oh yeah, maybe. Oh, Yeah, no, that would take away the fun, I guess. I mean, I never used a decal before, so maybe it's not fun at all to
Right.
put them on there. But no, yeah, like I said, for me, it's quite meditative to paint these freehand. So it takes a lot of time, but it also, in a way, gives me a peace of mind to paint them. So it's
That's
my
good.
therapy.
That's good. All right, let's take a look at the next. I think this might be the most recent.
Yeah, so I painted 2 girls this year. Um, which is quite a lot for me. I mean, I paint 1 to 2 every year, um, but actually started this one much earlier. So I think I started this one already more than a year ago, 1.5 years ago. Um, but this is one of the moments when the base really blocked me. I knew what I wanted to make, but I didn't really know how. So I couldn't get on with finishing this figure. And at one point I had this idea of making it like this, and then I went for it, and in the end I think it turned out quite nice. But it was a struggle again. So like I said, those bases don't really come too natural for me. Um, yeah, so I had to push it.
Again, it's absolutely stunning. But yeah, as Augie's commenting on not a lot of fabric to freehand on this one.
No, that's right. And actually was thinking about doing like tattoos on her. But I then it was for me. I was starting to get to this point. Okay, that's too much. So even I have a like some kind of border that I really had to take it back. And I thought the tattoos would make it wouldn't work because now the skin is like super smooth and it works like that. Uh, so I decided to go without freehand for this one. Yeah,
Right.
crazy, right?
Well, so let's just. I think we've got a zoomed in shot of her there.
Yeah, so I think like what you're seeing with these my later works is that I'm trying to get this non-metallic metal again a little step further. I think that's the main difference where I'm trying to push the non-metallic metals a little bit, like in the sword, a bit more reflections and a bit more color in there. And yeah, the skin is just a lot of fun to paint. So keep doing that.
I was just going to say, and Chris has just pointed out the hand reflection in the sword blade, which is just a wonderful little addition of detail there that absolutely sells it. Really nice.
Yeah, it's also a little bit of a happy accident, I guess, because I mean you're trying to achieve this, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, I think it works quite well. And yeah, and I think it's also because of the colors in this case that it works, because there's a big contrast in the sword, which has a bit more like um, cold colors in
Yeah,
them, and then where the reflection is, it has these warm colors. So I guess that makes it work a little bit better.
yeah. No, she's amazing.
Cute.
Uh, okay, who's this then?
Yeah, that's the last girl that I finished a couple weeks ago. Well, I probably don't have to say what the character is. I guess most people will recognize Zelda when you see her. Um, I think with like I said, sometimes I have difficulties in thinking of something, some color schemes, and I was a bit stuck. So I thought, pick something that I know the colors of, and I just have to, you know, copy it and make it a bit my own. So that was this. It started out as a very simple paint job. I thought do something quick in between, and then turned into a little bit more because I had to do freehands because I couldn't resist. So yeah, and I liked painting this one. It's simple, but at the same time also quite yeah.
She's
quite
beautiful.
interesting.
I mean, again, I'm seeing the close up here. So the eyes are absolutely stunning. The face is all just so well done.
Yeah, and it's. I think, I mean, in this sense, the digital sculpts, and this is a digital sculpt, the faces tend to be a little bit smoother and a little bit a bit smoother, more symmetrical. So they're a little bit easier to paint than the hand sculpted
Right.
figures. At least I find so making them smoother is easier. And I guess in this sense, especially for this character, of course, you're going for this quite like almost ethereal kind of look. So in that sense, really the digital sculpts really help.
Right. Let's. Oh, in fact, that is absolutely the last shot. And what a great place to end. So, what is the future then? What is the next miniature? Can you tease us as far as what you might be working on, or are you taking a break now for a little bit?
No, I'm not taking a break. I'm working on something that I I envisioned it 2 years ago. I made the sketch for the base when I did the samurai. So the lady with the pants with the pattern. But I wasn't really feeling it, and now I started it, and it's going to be another underwater base.
Oh, wow. Bunnyfish, says Chris.
Yeah, let's make a bunnyfish. No, it's going to be another underwater base, and it's going to be completely different from the other one.
Right.
I saw a documentary not too long ago about chasing corals. That was the name, chasing corals. Yeah, like I said, I'm a marine biologist, and our oceans aren't doing too well, and a lot of coral is dying. I'm being a super green advocate for being better to nature here. But yeah, so it will be it will be a bit darker, and it will be kind of like a transition from the very colorful underwater side before, and now a bit more darker, more muted. Maybe a bit of Atlantis in there, sneak peek.
Wow.
But to show where we're going to go if we don't treat our world a little bit better. That's the plan. Yeah.
Well, as you said, that when you did your other aquatic themed base and miniature, you felt that you were really in the zone on that, because I guess it was bringing the hobby and your sort of your work life all together. Then it sounds like the perfect theme to do for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I really like that, and I thought about it a long time. Like, why would you do another underwater base? Because I thought, just repeating yourself. But then I thought, come on, I like it, so why not? So just do because I like it, and it's going to be like I said, the tone is going to be very different, and there's going to be sharks, obviously, but the rest will be very different.
All right, excellent. Right, just give me 1 second, then let me put you up onto full screen, and we will then, so chat, if you have any questions, start typing them in. So let's turn that off there, put that on there, and that off. Okay. There we go, that looks good to me. Oh, hang on. All right, so here we go. So chat, do you have any questions? Now is your opportunity. So Mikey is asking, where does the airbrush now figure into your workflow?
That's a good question. I wish I could say that I'm using the airbrush. I wish I could, but I don't. I bought one, and I bought a pretty good one, and I took some lessons, and I tried, but I don't use it. And I think it's a great tool. I just hate setting it up. It takes a lot of time. I don't have so much time to paint, so when I'm going to paint, I want to get going, and I don't want to think about cleanup afterwards. And yeah, for me, it doesn't really come natural. And then I, yeah, like I said, I want to have fun, and then for me, the airbrush is not fun. It's frustrating. It doesn't work, and so I'm not using it too much. I if I use it, I do it for base coating and maybe a little bit of base work, but even that, I moved 2 years ago, and it hasn't left the box.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Augie is asking, and I hope I get this bit right, because I don't quite understand the last part of your statement, Augie, but how is it to be a female in a male-dominated branch? Do you mean in a male-dominated hobby, maybe? Do you want to just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yes, she's agreeing there.
To be honest, I don't really notice it too much. I mean, I mean, when you're going to like these big conferences, and yeah, of course there are going to be a lot of guys and not too many girls. So it's a different audience. The atmosphere might be a little bit different. In general, I don't really notice it too much. I don't think I'm using my femininity to get me places. So maybe that also gives us a different signal. I don't know. I tend not to mix in the discussion of whether female figures are too sexual, or because, yeah, as you can see, I kind of like those figures. I think we should be proud of our femininity, whatever it looks like. So, you know, I don't care if they're wearing a bit less clothes, as long as it looks pretty and feminine and and strong. I'd like to paint strong females. Yes, I don't really know. I think there's quite a lot of respect, regardless if you are a male or female figure painter. Of course, there are going to be, yeah, you're going to get attention sometimes in ways that you don't want it. But yeah, other than that, not too many problems there. I think.
Okay.
I like it. So it's a good place to be, I think. Yeah.
Good. Pascal is asking, in the past you have hosted classes and workshops. Do you still? And is it possible next into your daily life? And I guess, obviously, when we get out of this COVID world that we live in.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I did a few workshops. I do like to do it every now and then. It's nice to give the workshops. It's also quite intensive because you have this vision that you want to bring across, and you feel like you want everyone to have fun, and especially some people have difficulties translating what you're saying to their figure, which makes sense. I had the same when some people tried to explain me wet blending. So yeah, it's hard, and I wouldn't be able to do it every weekend or even every month, but every now and then I do give workshops. When the world becomes a little bit normal again, I hope to be able to do some workshops again. Yeah.
Excellent.
So we'll see.
Frankie is asking, so you use brushes 3.0, 10.0 for the freehand. It presumes that you use a retarder or something so that your paint does not dry quickly on the tip. Is that the case?
Not usually. I sometimes, but only when it's like really hot outside, and I do. But otherwise, don't really use, because the paint is diluted with water, so it doesn't dry that fast. And I don't paint a huge surface with a little bit. Like even with the freehand, it's just very small swirls, and then I pick up new paint, so it doesn't dry that fast. It's not like you can do a whole swirl with one little bit of paint, like you do half a swirl and then another piece of swirl. Like, so So I typically don't use a lot of retardant because it can become a little bit glossy, and then you have a bit less control. So I don't use it a lot, but if it's necessary, then yeah.
Okay. Chris is asking, where do you get the inspiration for your color schemes? Do you do any pre-visualization, like coloring up a picture of the mini in Photoshop, maybe?
It depends. So I do get a lot of inspiration from like Pinterest. So I Google things and just like looking at a lot of fancy artworks. Um, I did like for the figure with all the color and the crazy free hands. Then I used Photoshop to see what it looked like because it was too difficult to do it without that. But normally I tend to go with the flow. I have an idea in my mind and I tend to go with that. And then, if it doesn't work, I can always change it later, of course. But it's mostly, I think, a gut feeling because you know what kind of colors work and which don't. Yeah. And like I said, sometimes it just doesn't work. And then you just have to start over.
Okay. Pascal's asking, would you paint busts or larger scale miniatures?
Maybe one day. I have a few. I'm a bit intimidated because it takes me a long time to paint the smaller ones, and I think the bigger ones will take me even more time. And I think it would be useful if I would be able to work with the airbrush a bit better. But I'm having so much fun with these smaller ones. And like I said earlier, I don't want to conform to this popularity of busts and bigger figures just because they're popular and just because everyone is doing them. So I want to do it when I want to do it. When I see a bust that like, this is what I have in mind, this is what I want to paint. And I didn't have that so far because many of the busts are painted so many times that you see the same bust over and over again in a different kind of way, and it blocks me more than it motivates me to paint it. So I think for now, as long as I can see the tiny ones, I'll paint the tiny ones, and then if I see something that really inspires me, then I will go for a bigger one, but not anymore to because I have to, because yeah, I'm done with that.
Okay. I mean, obviously, your last couple of miniatures in the portfolio were Kingdom Death miniatures, and you said that you really like those minis. Have you had a look at or explored sort of the 3D printing world at all? Is that any appeal to you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening, and I mean, I thought about getting one of them myself. I've done some sculpting in ZBrush myself, but it's a whole different hobby. And of course, I could dive into that, but also with the printing, it takes a lot of time. And I feel like right now I want to, if I have time and if I have inspiration, I want to paint and not do those kind of things. So I haven't delved into it, and lately I haven't been buying a lot of miniatures either because there's so many that I still want to paint, and I like the 3D models that are being brought out, but I also feel like it's a lot of the same and not really the same that I like. So it's not always the style that I go for, but it's just a gut feeling, I think. So I haven't found the urge yet.
Yes. Okay. Another question from Frankie here. So, do you sometimes buy a figure and then, I think I'll convert the pose or do some sculpting, or do you prefer to just assemble and paint the figure as is out of the box?
Yeah, I'm not a very good sculptor. So it doesn't always come natural to me, and so I don't really do that. And I don't. I think in that sense, the inspiration to do this is kind of missing. So I haven't done it. It might be something I could ever try, but I haven't. It's a whole different hobby, I think. Also, so maybe in the future, but.
I get that is the thing with this hobby, isn't there? That there's hobbies nested inside other hobbies.
Exactly. You have to make some cutoff points. Yeah.
No, but maybe that's a good thing, isn't it? That so long as you're open to other possibilities, but actually having quite a rigid, this is what my focus is, can actually you become an expert of that area, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, I kind of like when I'm scrolling through Instagram that you can recognize people's work, and that's kind of the thing that I would like to go to, where people would just like, that's her, right? So you have this signature style that, and I like recognizing people by their style, and so that's why I'm sort of trying to go for my own thing in that sense, with the bright colors and the free hands. Yeah.
And you most definitely have a style that is instantly recognizable.
I try. I try to go there. Yeah.
Excellent. Right. Well, if there are... Oh, hang on. Pascal has one last question. Here we go. Would you consider a collab project? Asking for her friend, he says. And if so, who would be your dream partner?
Oh, I would definitely be interested in a collab. I think, my dream partner would be someone that could sculpt a miniature that's not out there. That's exactly what, is so cool for me. But I would also do a collab with Pascal, of course.
I think it was definitely a loaded question, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, that would actually be cool. So we actually did an exchange thing where he painted a miniature for me and I painted one for him, which is, I think that's always cool. That's the only figure I have that someone else painted. So I actually think that's very nice. You learn a lot from seeing other people's work, and especially if you can hold it in your hand. So I think collabs are really cool.
Yes. I have a couple of Pascal originals in my display cabinet, and yes, it's very interesting to actually see something that I've seen as in photographs, but now actually to see it up front and in personal. It's it's very beneficial.
It's completely different. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I think then we'll end it there. Because you've been talking for quite some time now. But thank you so much for coming onto the channel and sharing your wonderful portfolio of miniatures. They are absolutely stunning. Chat, please! Exclamation hype! Exclamation clap! Let's see some appreciation. So Snowyak saying thank you. As is Pascal.
It's really going to be breathtaking.
Take care, everyone. Dangerous times.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Maartje. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure to talk to you again.
Yes, thank you for having me, and maybe see you guys sometime soon.
We hope so indeed. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a good evening.
All right. Take care and bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Well, there we go then, guys. That wraps up tonight's show. My thanks, of course, to Maartje Giesbers for tonight's interview. Wonderful collection of miniatures there, which was absolutely amazing. Thank you, chat, for all of your questions. Really appreciate that. Well done, Chris. You didn't swear once. Yes, that was good. Yes, I know, Snow. Yeah. Oh, don't. Yes, I know. It's because I was looking. I've got it written phonetically down on my little post-it note. The good thing about it is, of course, I will edit that up and it will be perfect. The beauty of video editing. Thank you to Frankie over on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry we didn't sort of catch you initially, But glad that you did join us, and thank you for your contributions. Right, so what is happening on Wednesday? Let's just jump on back. So it is the conclusion of the community challenge for the Drowned Earth miniatures game. We'll be taking a look at everybody's dinos that they've painted over the last couple of weeks. Oh goodness, it's been so long since we've heard this. There we go. I think that's probably the best send-off that we could do for tonight's stream, isn't it, eh? All right, then. Let's see who we need to thank. Roll some credits. And so thank you to Timothy DM and what's that? Gwegwen? Gwegwen? Oh my goodness. No, Gwegwen. I hope. Thank you so much for following the channel. And thank you to Chris for the resub there. Right then, I guess that's it. So we will see you all on Wednesday night. But until then, bye for now.